Cordia August Tofoil Chirot. Welcome to Be My Guest with me, Mary Honan, on Lear Media TV, supporting the Samaritans, Limerick and Tipperary. And I've been really excited about this interview with a colleague and fellow involvee in Irish dancing, Father Ryan Duns S.J. Father Ryan is a Jesuit and a very proud Jesuit, proud to be part of the order. And so you should. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
I'm very good. Yeah, I'm very good, all things considering. I was saying to Ryan beforehand, it hasn't been a good week for me, with my little pet. But I'm glad to be talking to Ryan because he's going to cheer me up no end. Hi, Ryan.
Hi. It's so good to see you, Mary. It's been a while.
It's been a while. The last time was New York, wasn't it? When I was judging and you were playing.
For Kerry Kelly. We did Kerry Kelly special.
Kerry Kelly Oster. I love that name. I just think it just flows so beautifully, Kerry Kelly Oster.
And she's such a good person. I mean, that's a great family. That's a great, great family. Good involvement in Irish dance.
I did Kathleen Keating's special as well that year. That year that I was over, I was able to do the two. But yeah.
Yeah, that's right. She was a beautiful bride. She's a beautiful person and a beautiful bride.
Yeah, you married them, so to speak.
I did.
I would say in the Catholic Church, you married them.
I officiated. Otherwise, if I start telling people I married them, then it causes all kinds of problems.
But for anyone who doesn't know, who isn't a Catholic, Ryan is a member of the Jesuit order, which is Society of Jesus, S.J. So you usually put the initials S.J. after your name, except in Irish dancing, you're Ryan.
Exactly. People, I mean, everyone, you go through your life and they know you by different names. And, here at Marquette University where I teach, people say, oh, it's Father Ryan or Professor Duns. And then I'm in Irish dancing world and the kids will call you like, hey, Ryan, hi, Ryan. And you're like, all right. Like I go by, I've always been Ryan, so it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. How did you get, this interview is, I suppose, two strands. How did you get involved in dancing first? Did you ever dance or were you always a musician?
I was always a musician. My sister was a dancer and is a TCRG in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad wanted us to be involved. I was brutally uncoordinated and fat when I was a kid. So
never.
That's what your parents.
Photos.
Like when you have a short, fat, redheaded kid, because I used to have hair and it was red. What do you do to help that kid's social standing? You get them to play the tin whistle and then the accordion, because that is a surefire way to be popular. So my involvement was simply because my sister was doing the dancing and my brother and my other sisters did as well. I did the music and so never took one step of dance in my life other than Kaylee's. Actually, and on my ordination day, Judy McCafferty came and I broke her toe. I'm so uncoordinated. Like I stepped on her toe during a waltz, I think. So yeah, I'm not, maybe it was the Siege of Venice. I'm really I'm better just to sit still and not hurt myself or others.
Yeah, but I was just thinking there when you said the best thing to teach them is the accordion or the tin whistle, and it makes them popular. There was a famous musician here in Ireland, Seamus Ennis, and they have a festival every year in his honor. He was a traditional. He was the great of, and he was once asked, Mr. Ennis, how do you best play the bodhrán? And with a serious deadpan look, he's looked them straight in the face and he said, with a flick knife, son. Knife.
That's true. Sadly, well, I've heard some great bodhrán players, great players.
I love the bodhrán.
But that it's like an affliction. Like when you have two of them, and if one is just
slightly off,
a little bit lacking in rhythm, it's like novice hornpipes. You're like,
oh God.
You having conniptions thinking this will never end. You're slaughtering the music.
That's my phrase, a conniption. God, there's nothing worse than somebody out of time with a flick knife, son, with a flick knife.
That would solve so many problems.
So you started the accordion
I
and
did.
the tin whistle, and you enjoyed it greatly. And how did you get involved in the Irish dancing then, in the competitions? Because you play all over America now. You know, you're known as, I suppose, the musical priest.
Exactly. I'm named after a tune. So I enjoyed playing for the dancers. Just in terms as a musician and just spiritually and personally, I really enjoyed it. And we could talk about that later if you wish.
Yeah,
But I
absolutely.
became friends with people. And so, 18, 19 years old, started to play the Odd Fesh. And, that's right. So I turned 18 in 1997. So that's right, the river dance boom.
Right in it.
And so I'm like going to college, playing Irish music and Irish dancing music. And there's this big flowering of interest in Irish dancing. So there was a high demand for what we could do. So I never found myself without employment. And then I made some of my best friends.
Yeah.
By, just you spend so much time together and you're on the same circuits as, certain people. And you just get to know them and their families and their lives, and your lives, you intersect so much that you become friends.
Yeah, you'd be completely on the circuit now. It's safe to say you'd be at the opening of a paper bag, as they say. When it comes to a competition, you'd be playing at every one of them.
Yeah, and it's been great,
because so many people have been delighted when they heard Ryan Duns was coming on. They said, "Oh, we're just so." I got so many messages. "Oh, I can't wait to hear Father Ryan Duns."
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah, so
I value our community, the Irish dancing community, the Irish music community, because it gives me another way of being with people. I mean, I'm always, I do a lot of priesty stuff and I teach, students. And so you're in a different role of leadership and service in that way. And then all of a sudden to be with people you've known forever, who you've had drinks with and you've worked really hard with and you've been stuck in airports with.
You can be your authentic self with.
Yeah, they know you, they know your history, they know your family.
Yeah.
They know
every side of you. They know the musician, they know the person, they know the priest. They've come along the journey with you.
And
we've come along the journey with you. I remember you when you were only training to be a Jesuit.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was an eternal.
It did seem that way.
No, but I mean, it just takes so long to be a priest, let alone a Jesuit.
Aye, it does.
Do you know?
One of the things that, and I say this out of, and you'll appreciate, like, I can say with a straight face, oh, like Sheila Bremer was the last woman I slept with. Because we were stuck in an airport. We missed flights, and so our bags were delayed. She had to get to work. So I said, Sheila.
Qualify that by saying it was on a bench in an airport.
Well, no, we went and got a hotel, and we had to get and I wasn't wearing this, and so we were coming back from Colorado, and we get to I said, Sheila, you take care of
where this is going now, Ryan.
No, it's gonna be fine. It's all gonna be fine. No scandal. But I said, Sheila, you take care of get the flights. I'll get a hotel. So we get the hotel. I rented a car. We drove to the hotel because everyone was delayed that night.
I just want Sheila to know I did try to stop you.
we get to the desk, and the clerk is like, one bed? And I looked and I was like, we need two. He's like, oh, yeah. And she goes, yeah, he's the priest. And that looked terrible. But we were able to we had a good night of sleep. She got out early. But, you can make those jokes and you can say,
yeah,
it's just the life we live, the way we interact with each other. And
yeah. You don't look on somebody. It's funny that all my dancing partners that I've had down through the years, male dancing partners, people say, oh, it must be great. I remember my first dancing partner in Bunratty, and the tourists used to say to him, it must be great to be here with all these women, because he was one of the few men in Bunratty. And he looked, and we used to look at him and say, that's not Aidan. That's not. We don't look at him as a man. We don't. He didn't look at us as women. We just looked at each other as Aidan and Mary and Maeve and whoever. We looked beyond who they're male or female. They were just Aidan. They were just Mary. That was asexual.
Yeah, you just learned to be. But isn't that nice? Like, we learn how to be friends.
Yeah.
Where it's not charged with anything untoward or scandalous.
No. You grow up with the person. It's like they're it's almost like they go beyond male, female, or whoever. They're just them. And that's very hard to quantify. How you can feel about people that you're with. They're almost another part of you, in a strange sort of sense.
Yeah. And we're at our best when we're together, when we're doing what we love and not sniping at each other. And I mean, the musicians are relatively immune to that, because we don't, most of us don't have to get involved.
You have the best of every world. You just go and play music and enjoy the crack, as they say, with no, you don't have to worry about who's winning or who isn't winning.
No, that's the best part. I mean, you can, when the musician is doing his or her job, you're supporting every dancer as best as you possibly can, and you want them to do well, and you're giving it your all so that they can give their all, and that's a gift. It's a gift to be able to be life-giving to other people and help them to reach their goals, and to do it within a culture and a context of music and dancing and the crack that's so beautiful and really calls the best out of all of us.
And for anyone who's not Irish and wondering what we're saying when we say the crack, it's spelled C-R-A-I-C, and it's the Gaelic, and it actually means fun.
Yeah.
Party, having a great time. It doesn't mean that we're sniffing anything.
No, please.
Or is that what you do with crack? I'm not sure.
Well, no, you smoke crack and you snort coke.
I never smoked a cigarette.
I may have smoked. I think I've smoked like 3 cigarettes in my life.
Oh God, Ryan! But what was I going to say? I love the color of your walls behind.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is my room. This is one of the nicest places I've ever lived. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it's a little snowy. It's very cold today.
Yeah. Hence the video I put up at the back in support of you, Ryan.
I feel like I'm at home.
There'll be ducks floating by now to just cheer you up.
My name is Father Ryan Duns, and I'm the faculty advisor for Marquette University's chapter of Alpha Sigma Nu. We are a Jesuit honor society dedicated to scholarship, inspired to loyalty, and focused on service. I want to wish you all a happy Alpha Sigma Nu week and look forward to meeting the challenges of this week. Thank you.
But Ryan, what was I going to say to you? At what stage, or did you always have this calling to be a priest, and why the Jesuits? I was asking another relatively young priest the other day about the calling for him, and he said it just comes so many different ways for everybody. How did you get the calling to the priesthood, and why the Jesuits?
So that's a great question. Thank you. I think as long as I can remember, I've been interested in theological questions, the questions of what is seen and unseen in our lives. Not just weird. One of my areas of interest in what I teach is about horror as a literary genre, and the way horror and the study of it can reveal a great deal about our theological commitments and interests. And that always interested me, things that I could not see with my eyes, but could intuit with other senses.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I liked music too. I mean, there was a feeling of a rhythm that you couldn't quite get with your fingertips, but was no less real.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that I was particularly religious in terms of devoted. Like I went to mass, I went to Catholic school all my life, but it was head and heart that really that drew me originally.
Yeah.
And then there were two strands. One, I had family members and friends who said, "Have you ever thought? Have you ever considered?" So they saw something in me that I did not see at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to be, I mean, as a footnote, like I wanted to be one of two things, either a teacher of special needs children
Yeah. You would have
or
been
a
great.
doctor. I mean, I had two, those are my two real vocational goals. But people telling me that they saw something in me that I, at that time, did not see. But the other thing is, I had Jesuit teachers in secondary school and then college and then for a graduate program. And I loved them. They were funny and intelligent, and they were holy in a way that I thought was credible.
And as well as that, they're known for their ability to give speeches and to give and to their oratorical prowess, if you like. And sometimes one finds going to mass, if you have a bad priest who has absolutely no inflection or no articulation and just reads everything off without any pauses whatsoever. He obviously, as Judge Rinder in the UK says, has a hatred of the comma.
Yes.
And just reads. You just want to go to a Jesuit or a Redemptorist where they seem to draw you in. We have a novena every year in June to Our Lady of Perpetual Succor up at the Redemptorists, and it's just packed. They're even intense. Even people who aren't Catholic, go to it just to listen to the priests talk and draw you in. It's just a fantastic spiritual experience, and I'm just so carry on anyway, Father Orion.
Oh, yeah, that's the I mean, at the end of the day, they showed me a credible way of being happy, and that's what I wanted to be, was happy. And I have to tell you, so a very sweet story. When I was about to enter, I entered the Jesuits in 2004, and so that last summer, I played a lot of Feshina and traveled all over. And it was Maureen Backey, who, from New York. And I said to Maureen, we were in Chicago at the Gaelic Park Fesh. There was the second day Fesh at Maryville. And she put her hands on my shoulder and she said, "I just want you to know that even if it doesn't work out, we're still going to love you. Like, we're so proud of you. Just,
you have to try.
We just want you to be happy." And that was so liberating.
Yeah.
That she had the way the forethought to say something. And I look back on people like, in those days, Ann Richins and Dennis Dennehy, and Maureen Hall.
Yeah.
I look back on all of these people and I'm like, they loved me and they let me be me and they encouraged me. I mean, and then there's like Ann Hall and Liam Harney, two of my dearest friends.
Yeah.
All have supported me all this way through. And
Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? You've been supported throughout your, I suppose, Irish dancing. We'll say Irish dancing, Irish music career, and you're continued to be supported throughout your priestly career, priestly life. Do you know? Is there any part of it, Ryan, that you find to be stifling? Is there any? Have you ever had any doubts that this was the path you were going to take, or that was meant for you?
Oh, every now and again. Years ago, when I was a baby Jesuit, I was living in Riverton, Wyoming.
But I love it. I love it. That's so lovely. The baby Jesuit.
I had brought my accordion to Wyoming. I was on a Native American reservation, and it was in the winter and it was cold and I was so lonely, and it was the man I was living with, very old, and it was, this is where your friends save you, because Ann Hall knew, and so she called and said, "You're coming to Colorado. You're going to come and play my fesh." So I flew on an airplane that really was like a tin can with rubber bands. It was the tiniest, most horrible airplane I've ever been in, but it flew from Riverton to Denver. And I got into the car with Anne, and we crested a hill, and I burst into tears. And I'm like, I can't go back. I can't go back. She's like, you could stay with me for a few days. And I did. Like, she let me stay with her. I slept on the couch. And
That's one place I'd love to see, Denver, Colorado.
I love Denver.
There's really two places, Denver and Hawaii. And my dad always wanted to see Hawaii.
Yeah.
And he never told anybody, and Mom told me after he died. And I always thought if I got to Hawaii, I'd bring a photograph of him with me and leave it somewhere really nice, the most beautiful place I could see in Hawaii, and just leave it there, that the part of him could stay. And it was the only dream he ever had, was to see Hawaii.
Yeah.
And for me, it's there for that reason. And also Colorado. I don't know why. I think it's maybe John Denver. Hence, and the wilderness here.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think it's John Denver, the Rocky Mountain High.
Yeah.
So that actually, the Rocky Mountains and Colorado was what actually saved you and actually sent you back to where you feel you're supposed to be.
It was a retreat from that allowed me to move toward. So I was able to step back, reassess with friends, and then say, no, this is really what it was never, at some point you stop saying like, is this what I'm supposed to do? And is this, and then it becomes, is this who I am meant to be?
And is there any point, I've never actually asked a priest this, and I've interviewed 4 priests now so far, including Father Michael Johnson, who won 4 All-Irelands as a dancer. He teaches, he's a priest in London. But was there ever a time that you felt, oh God, I have to carry on doing this, because if I leave, I feel a failure, and 2, you know, how can you be a failure? How can you leave the priesthood? It's almost like you're leaving, you're turning God down. You know, did that actually ever enter your head, or was it purely because you had rationally thought, yeah, this is my life. This is what makes me tick.
Yeah, I to be honest with you, I was ordained in 2015.
Yeah.
On June 13th. And I don't June 13th, 2015, yeah.
Not Our Lady's Day.
No.
Our Lady's Day, I think it is. June 13th, yeah.
Well, we had since then, no, in fact, because I think the Jesuit formation, it takes 11 years for us.
Yeah.
That I sort of just grew into myself. And could I leave? Yeah. I mean, I could do a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I think this is who I am. And my friends and my family, never with the sense of like, you have to do this. It's just, they recognize that, as one of our colleagues put it, you're more you because of this.
Yeah.
And I feel that's true. I have the best job in the world. I wish people understood. The priests, we can look weird. I mean, we dress funny and we're single, celibate. But I look at the world, the way I get to interact with people when they bring to you the stuff that is so painful in their hearts or their hopes and dreams and their fears, and they share them with you, and you get to offer them your shoulder and say, like, let me walk with you for a little while. When I get to baptize babies and marry and bury,
from the cradle
when you get
to the
to
grave.
feed people, I'm forever saying my image of heaven is like a ceilidh, where everyone is, there's no wallflower.
I hope there's no bad Bowron player at it though.
No, I think Jesus forbids the Bowron players. He has a high standard of ceilidh band. It's like the Kilfenor or the Tulla.
Yeah, exactly.
But like there's no wallflower and there's no evaluation. It's just everyone gets to dance because they're called into this dance. And I think we priests don't recognize this enough. We live in a world where we're so concerned about equality today, as we should be. We must be. The question of human dignity. And what we forget is that at the Catholic Mass, in the Eucharist, when we come up for communion to receive the body and blood of Christ, it doesn't matter. Rich, poor, black, white, male, female, in between, gay, straight, tall, short, liberal, progressive, whatever you want to be, conservative. Everyone eats from the same plate and drinks from the same cup. Like, that's equality. Like, that's
Equality.
It's communion of equality.
Communion of equals.
Yeah, and I think we neglect that. If you are hungry, you will be fed. And I think there are so many of us who, the anxiety of our age, the anxiety that racks so many people's hearts, the struggles with depression and doubt and fear and anger, I think are all symptomatic of a deep hunger. And I don't presume to tell people what they're hungry for, but I think a lot of people don't know that they have this deep
spiritual
yearning
hunger
for something more. Like, we neglect our spiritual, and we try to cover it over with stuff.
It's like when you're in grief and you try to cover that grief by buying, going out and consuming. I'm a shopaholic. I am a confirmed shopaholic, and most of the times when I go out shopping, if I was to actually sit down and realize, they're the times when I feel that I should really be sitting back and just breathing rather than just going out and shopping, because I'm trying to mask the fact that I want to make myself feel better. And I think that's what we do as human beings. We try to make ourselves feel better by buying, by consuming, by having things around us. Mm-hmm. And yet, when you declutter your house, you often find that I've decluttered my bedroom now, for instance. I painted it and made it slightly smaller. And I've never felt so free as when I have less stuff inside in the bedroom. I still have the same amount of stuff, but I have more space to give that space, to put that clutter somewhere else, and I do think that we tend to try and consume things to try and cover up. How difficult do you think, I asked this question now to another priest here from Limerick there the other day, with COVID-19, when you see that the doors are shut to the churches, you almost have to book to go. There's so few allowed into the churches at any time, including funerals. And when something's deprived of you that has been there throughout your entire life, whether you ever stepped inside a church or not, you tend to miss it more. And the priests I've spoken to, all of them, bar none, have said that the online mass that they're doing, there's thousands attending it. And do you think that there'll be a resurgence to people going back to the church once COVID ends, because it's been deprived of us for so long?
I think that is quite possible. I think that people have realized that that what they took for granted should not have been taken for granted, and now that they can't access it, they yearn for it. I think what we're going to have to do as a church, all of us, so I don't just say priests, all of us, how do we welcome people back? Because there will be a significant number of people, I think, who may not have been to church in a long time, Catholic or otherwise, but who, in the confusion and the chaos of this last year, have found comfort and hope. And they'll say to themselves, okay, I'm going to give this a try. And that's going to be the person who sneaks in the back of the church, kind of with the arms crossed, like, all right, convince me that I should be here, or let me know that I belong here. And shame on us if we are not hospitable and welcoming to them.
Father Chris O'Donnell was saying, I hope they come back not just to hear me sing, he said, because he started putting up these singing, dancing routines on video and that.
Yeah.
And the youth of Limerick tried to tweet at the Pope to ask them not to send him to Dublin for the year. But he said, I hope they come back because they want a relationship with the good God. I said, it doesn't matter why they come back. As long as they come back, it's up to you and it's up to everybody else to embrace them and let them realize that they have done the right thing by coming back.
You know, I have to say this, like we when you look at the Gospels, people come to know who God is through Jesus. I mean, that's the incarnation, that we come to know God's divinity through Jesus's humanity and what that looks like in our history. Well, that's how all of us are. We come to be believers because we've known believers who show us what love looks like in a very particular way. Our moms, our dads, our grannies and grandpas and brothers, sisters, friends. And too often I think we get so heady. We're like, I need a reason to go. No, we need a people to go. And how do we invite others? You know, like think of when you teach a dancing class, you don't send out a list of these are the 10 reasons you need to go to Irish dancing.
Yeah.
You hope that they see it and are enchanted by it and they are drawn into it. They see it because their friends do it, or they see a demonstration and they say, I think I could enjoy that too. Well, we have to do that. And that's the form of evangelization that we need. Like, why is this a joyful Eucharistic people who love one another and love the Lord and want to embrace and draw other people into the dance that we enjoy? I think that's, we have to be more welcome.
I agree with you. I think that, I think once people do come back, it doesn't matter what their reasons are. People might come back because they're lonely. They might come back because, you know, it's somewhere warm to come in out of the cold, or whatever the reason is. Welcome them back and let them see that the choice that they made was the right one. And in actual fact, I think I don't know if you think I'm right or wrong, but I think, you know, Father Chris was saying about going to Maynooth, and for the first month they're in lock-in. I don't know if you had a lock-in for where you're kind of separated from the world, so you can actually meditate and think and walk at the grounds or just be away from the world. I think maybe in some respects this has been a form of lock-in where people have connected with their families. They might have lived with them, but they were somewhat distant because they were all rushing out, getting their jobs done, going here and there. And somewhat detached, not even eating together at the same times. Now you've had that lock-in, you've had time to breathe and realize all the things that maybe mass at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning is really what you need to just get out and say, hi, it's great, you know, I'm back. Even if you're not fully back, just that you're actually there.
We're all kind of monks now.
Not even just mass, going to your mosque, going to your synagogue, going wherever, your temple, just to be around people.
I mean, I think we've all learned all the things we thought we couldn't do without, we can. And the things we cannot do without, that we really cannot do without, are the things that we neglected. Community, friendship, camaraderie, communion. And so I think that's the great opportunity that this presents us as a moment in our lives. Like, what really matters to us? What's really important? And, you know, I would say this too. You know, when you bring and I know the Irish are better at this than it seems like than the Americans. The American Irish dancing class, like, okay, the beginners meet at this time, and then the novices, the prize winners, and they're separate. But as my understanding is, many of the Irish classes, the championship kids and the beginners are there at the same time.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do have schools that actually take it in turns. You have the beginners, and you have the two scrod, and then the man grod, and the ord grod, which would be the four grades. But
Yeah.
something that I always like to it's one thing actually that hasn't come up on this. I always believe that, for instance, with the World Championships and the All Irelands, I almost think that the senior ladies and the senior men should be on earlier.
Mm.
Older competitions should be on earlier, and the younger a little bit later, so that everyone can look at the
Yes.
older dancers. The older dancers get a big audience that they're deprived of because everyone's gone home, and they're left
Mm.
with, and they're almost seen as adults. But the younger children can learn, each age group under that can learn from them, and see, this is how I progress. This is what I do
Yes.
when I reach the senior age group. And it's the same in life, I suppose. We can learn so much from the older people.
And this is where we have an opportunity. It's not just getting people to come back to the church and then just to sit there. Where are we going? Just as a beginner needs to see the prize winner and the champion to know where that dancing career could go or what they could be like in the future. Well, what are we doing?
We're
What are
not.
we doing as the
No.
church to say, like, this is who we want you to be? Like, this is who we aspire to be. It's not just listen to me. Like, no one's going to show up to listen to me talk. But if I can point
I
to
doubt that. I would.
like, like I want to be able to point people to who we could be. Like that to me is exciting. Like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Who do we become as a people? And if we start to have a vision of that, I think we could be an exciting body again.
Yeah.
Sometimes the church gets stale. Like dancing can get stale. A class can get stale. Sometimes you need a workshop teacher. You need new music to come in, but you
Yeah.
need something to give a jolt of life and say, we plateaued. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
And
But something to look
at,
forward to and something to learn from.
yeah,
In our lives now, I think we tend to think, oh, this is it, this is how life is, and we have it, we understand it. But when you look at somebody who's lived that little bit longer, or has that little bit more experience, whether it's of dancing or of life or of the priesthood or of mass, whatever, you can learn through them.
yeah,
And I do think that is one thing that should be looked at in some way, that the youngsters don't see, especially in Irish dancing. The youngsters don't ever really get to see the older dancers, the senior age groups, or the um, uh, age groups under them, to learn, to grow. I think they sometimes think that this is it, this is our world, and there's no world beyond it. And maybe that's why some burn out very quickly, because they don't see that you can actually go on and you can end up in Riverdance or Lord of the Dance or anything like that.
or they don't. It's so often they don't. I don't think our young people know the stories. I mean, that's what. When you go to a fashion, you have dinner afterwards.
Yeah.
You're not talking about your work.
No.
Sometimes you do. They tell stories of.
Yeah.
You remember when Peter Smith did this, or when Ann Richins and said that, and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that there one day. The only time I ever spoke to Peter, he was somebody I admired, but obviously never felt that I was able to, he was, I always felt he was, dancing wise, he had so many world champions, and that you almost feel like you're not worthy,
Mm.
But I remember being up in the balcony and admiring a dancer. It had to have been the World Championships or the All Ireland. And I remember turning to someone saying, oh God, I love that slip jig, because I loved the slip jig. And I love a slip jig to be elegant and graceful and devoid of flicks and clicks and spins and twirls, and just be elegant. And she was in my view, she was fabulous. And I said it to somebody beside me. Forget who I said it to now. I said, she'd be my winner. And he just spun around and he said, I'm glad, he said, you said that because she's mine. I thought, oh my God, thank God I said something positive.
Yes.
I didn't even know the girl, and I still don't know who she is, but it was just the way he said it. And that's the one thing I remember from, and the only thing I remember from Peter Smith, really, of ever speaking to him. But Dennis Denny, he was on my panel for my CRG with John Culnan. And Anne Richins was on it in America when I did it during September 11th, just the week after September 11th.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were lovely.
We have so many good people.
Do you want to play a piece of music?
Sure.
Go on, give us some music.
All right, we'll do the whistle. I've got the accordion elsewhere.
You didn't bring the accordion with you?
No, I won't. That one's not as much fun. I can do the whistle's easier to. My chair has arms, so I have to get a different chair when I want to play the accordion because it doesn't fit.
Tin whistle's great. Fabulous, Ryan.
Oh, thank you.
The music, the sound went slightly. It went lower. The volume was lower during that, but you could hear it perfectly.
Oh, good.
That was lovely, Ryan. What's that called?
That is Over the Moor to Maggie.
Over the
Moor, Moor. Yeah.
Over to Maggie. Do you know, when I was working in Bunratty, our boss, Jerry O'Brien, he was the wittiest person in the world. But if you told a joke, he'd sit there and he'd look. And then he'd look. And you'd be laughing your head off because you'd know the ending of the joke you were about to tell. And he'd look and then he'd say, and he'd ruin the whole joke in you. But he always maintained, he used to have names. He used to make up his own names for Irish tunes, and he used to come out with Maggie Fell Over the Slurry Pit was one of them. Because he always maintained Irish tunes had the most ridiculous and funny names, and he said, and he used to play the accordion.
Yeah.
For us, and Mickey's Farewell to the Slurry Pit. That was one of the tunes he made up for himself for a tune. You know, he said it's as good as any, because we'd say to him, "What was that tune, Jerry?" And he'd say, "Mickey's Farewell to the Slurry Pit." I mean, do you ever wonder where the names came from?
Like, I buried my wife and danced on her grave. Like, sure, I guess. Like, if you want to do that.
It's just so. Where to now, Ryan? From here, do you like wearing the collar? I'm a traditionalist. I like the collar.
I have to. I'll be honest. I do, because I don't have to think about what to wear. So when I travel and you're playing the fesh, great. I can wear. I can dress up.
You can wear your jeans and top, whatever.
But when I go to teach, I love this because I am so worried about, okay, I've got an hour and 15 minutes. I have to do these 4 things today, and I want to make it fun and interesting. I don't want to worry about what I'm wearing. So I love it. It makes it so easy. It's like, black shirt, black shirt, black shirt, black shirt, black pants, black pants, black pants. Which of them do I wear today? All right. And then I mean, I have some fun socks I can wear, but that's about, that's the extent of it.
No, but I mean, when I went to school, I went to all convent schools as well, and it was all girls schools. And my primary school, it was navy and white, and my secondary was navy and ice blue with a tie, and I loved the fact, and I still love the fact that everybody in a convent school or that has to wear a uniform, because it creates an equality as well. Because you every child can afford at least one uniform. I had an obsessive compulsive mother who had 5 uniforms for me, and I was an only child, and everyone knew the way she was, and it was in case you got a stain on one, there was always the other, and things like this. She was just neurotic. But every child, and that's what I love about the wigs in Irish dancing, because within 2 minutes, somebody like me with dead straight hair can have this glorious head of a bun. And there's that sense of equality that every child has, that is created with the uniform, with just turning up in school in your navy uniform. Everyone looks the same. No one looks as if they're more comfortable financially than another.
Yeah, no,
while they're in class. And that's what I think is wrong in a lot of schools, especially schools where there's no uniform. There's always the children coming in the expensive gear, and you have the pressure on parents of other children who can't, maybe not. I just think and as well as that, you earned the right to wear that collar, Ryan. You spent 11 years.
Yeah, and it's a gift and a curse at times, because people will see it and they make
judgments,
assumptions and judgments, and that can be painful. I mean, it can be annoying, but at the same time, it's an opportunity to help people to change their thoughts. You get to know them a little bit, or I always say, like, the study of the church, the academic study of the church, is called ecclesiology, the study of the ecclesia, the body of the church. And I always say that I have a barroom ecclesiology. I'm good. All problems can be solved at the end of a bar. 2 pints in, and most everything can be sorted out. And I find, like, a lot of people have presumptions about what a priest is or what they should be. And I'm like, well, let's just sit down and chat, and we can talk about things we love, and we don't have to talk about the heavy things. Like, let's get to know each other. And I find people are very receptive to that, even when I'm wearing this.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, it was just an absolute delight having you on.
Oh, thank you.
And if what I would love is if you could actually play us another tune out, and hopefully we'll meet when when COVID and everything is over, and we get to meet each other. Hopefully we'll have a drink
soon enough. If I can just add this, like, the privilege of playing for Irish dancers and playing Irish music is that the better you are, the more you disappear.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest gift any one of us can have. I think good parents disappear so their kids can move forward and grow and develop and become themselves. And good teachers of Irish dancing or anything know how to step back.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we, I get to practice that every weekend playing for Irish dancers, from the baby Tiernanog babies to the world champion kid who is on the stage that day. It's my privilege to be able to say, like, I pray every time I play for every tune, Lord, just let me do my best so that this kid can do his best or her best.
Yeah.
And it makes the entire fesh a prayer. So I'm so grateful to this community for letting me be a part of it for so long.
And we're grateful to you, Ryan.
It's a wonderful group. So I'll play another reel because I can. This is Martin Wynn's number 3.
Fabulous, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.